Good after evening, everybody. My name is Scarlet Deacket, and welcome to the first video that will be released publicly on my YouTube channel. It has been a very confusing ride to getting to this point. I am what a lot of people would call a sort of scaredy cat in ways, because what's the word I'm looking for? I am very introverted in being extremely paranoid that anything I do will, possibly end up online.
Come on, man.
Over time, I've come to be able to deal with a lot of these struggles, and I've wanted to be able to be branching out to YouTube and Twitch. I can't imagine I'm exactly someone who can very easily crack jokes, someone who can always lift your spirits.
Not babysit.
But this channel is more of an extra project for myself, to put myself out there and, to be honest, see if people can possibly relate with me. I have ADHD and autism, and as much as I would like to say that life is a struggle, it can be, but being able to understand yourself, being able to try to enjoy yourself whilst you have time, is one of the key parts of, like I said, understanding yourself. Trust me, I'm not someone who you can come to for self-help, but realistically, I will tell you how things are. I'm a very, very blunt person, and as funny as it is, I can technically be very eccentric, especially over things that I care very deeply about, be it hobbies or just things in general. Some of my favourite things include Sonic the Hedgehog, Lupin the Third, Kinnikuman, South Park. I tend to collect a lot of anime, but a lot of the time I also tend to get rid of said anime. Not because I don't enjoy it, more or less having to deal with, I would like to say, mental problems, but it's more or less the lack of motivation to feel like you want to get through something. Because of how things are, I have a tendency to start a hobby and instantly basically give up on it if I'm not so great with it, which has become a much bigger detriment, especially in recent times, with a lot of hobbies that are into retro video game collecting, retro like PC collecting ways, and in some cases even just playing games or collecting things from things I enjoy has become a much bigger chore. And I'm not sure why it is like this, but it generally just is.
I want to do that again.
I can also be described as someone who, when buying something, likes consistency. This becomes a problem with a lot of my collecting, especially because of DVDs like South Park. South Park, here in the UK, has 3 separate DVD box sets. The original seasons 1 through 4 in the big box sets that came out originally before the 2009 releases of the fold-out cases and the 2011 non-fold-out standard cases. Just because I will have a season on, let's say, standard case, I will also need to buy the fold-out case version. It's nice to have multiple copies of something, especially if something breaks down. But at the same time, it just will look very off in my collection if I'm suddenly missing seasons that don't have specific variations. Over time, I've come to try to fix myself a little more. I try to be a little less harsh on myself. And to be honest, video games are entertaining since I grew up on a lot of retro games, courtesy of family. However, a lot of this mostly has warped my perception of times things. I used to be someone who would actively believe, like, retro video games were overall better. But I've started to learn a lot more that I now have the impression of, even if a game is bad, there is still something involved. Redeeming qualities as such. I recently went out about a few days ago just to pick up Team Sword Racing because I already own Crossworlds and I used to own Team Sword Racing. I wanted to get it as well because I remember it being a happy game. It's obviously not bad. The AI is completely unfair on the difficulties though, so you can probably guess that's why I decided to take my leave for a while. But something popped up in the corner of my eye. A game series so somewhat universally hated or despised. I found myself a copy of Bubsy 3D. I decided to pick the game up, and I realised it would have just been cheaper to buy the whole Bubsy collection. But it's also pretty funny to own a physical copy of Bubsy 3D, because realistically, what kind of a person would actively buy a game they know is terrible? That's me. I do have a lot of stuff that I normally am actually still very passionate about, surprisingly. One day, I would like to become a story writer. I have a story that I would like to be told. And I suffer a lot with my art, since, well, art is not exactly easy. It doesn't come naturally, it is something you have to learn. It's a valuable skill, despite what many will tell you. And the worst part is, if you're someone like me, you may be creative enough to imagine pretending to be your characters in works. And I mean more like, imagine being up in the middle of the night, everyone else is asleep. You basically become your characters. You talk to yourself, not as the characters around you, because, well, you don't know what characters really. You basically pretend to be your characters. Every instance of your story, every instance of your characters doing something, you act it in life. Physically, mentally, you talk it about. You are someone who's able to create the entirety of the story in your mind and act it out in person. It then comes hard to the story finally again to adapt it. That is a big case for me. My art isn't so good. It has been improved. Not all I can continue. But my story is a lot, and for years I have been creating this story, constantly making rewrites, or going out of my way to change a lot of the plot for whatever is slightly more moving for that moment. Sadly, a lot of my words can be very nonsensical, as I have a tendency to speak very fast and passionately. This often is to my direct detriment, especially when I am trying to explain to people about a lot of stuff that goes on. One day, I hope I am able to publish it. Not even to like a big publisher, maybe self-published, but maybe just play online for people to see. It would be fun. It's a little passion project, and I hope one day I'm able to get it shown. But not everyone gets a chance. Things become a much bigger struggle in time. On this channel is primarily just going to be me rambling about things, as that's kind of the person that I am. I tend to ramble on for hours and hours. I do hope this is the kind of channel that you can either sit down and enjoy, or just leave on in the background to just hear random bits of knowledge for no apparent reason. I would like to say I'm quite knowledgeable on some subjects, but at the same time, I'd either just be regurgitating facts you've already heard, or I'd be incredibly dense and completely forget about something.
You're still here? I was
Becomes
so
a
far
much
ahead,
more
I thought
bigger
you
and
dropped
nuanced.
out.
Like, I have purchased an iMac G3 not too long ago. Earlier this year, in fact. I bought it because it looked cool. I wanted to understand how it worked. So I purchased it, and to be honest, I wanted to just tinker with it. But after getting it, I realised, yes, I don't exactly want to touch this thing with a 50-foot pole, because any slight thing would go wrong at any time. It is not the hardest thing to repair, but it's still a pain in my ass. So, in terms of options I could do with it, I realised if I don't really have the money to be affording software, what do I do? Especially since I don't exactly have another actual PC or laptop to actually put anything of use on it. So originally, I stuck with the idea of just buying any physical media I could possibly find outside and possibly run it. I found quite a few things, but ever since I updated it to macOS 10.1, it has been struggling to deal with any games or software that runs on the classic system. Of course, this was to be expected. My iMac is not actually the oldest G3. I believe it is part of the Colourful set. I believe it's a 333 MHz monitor system. Although it was upgraded at some point to 128 megabytes, which surprised me because I realised these computers didn't really come with them, like ever. They had to have been basically done by someone, which I'm glad they did, because it gave me a slightly stronger to work with. But besides that, I tend to opt with video game consoles, i.e. some of my personal favourites are Sega Dreamcast, the Sega Mega Drive, and I did tend to opt Nintendo consoles. As a personal favourite, mine is still the Nintendo Wii U. I also dabble in a bit of PlayStation Vita. These consoles mean a lot to me, especially when you can actually get use out
I
of them.
just don't understand.
And to be honest, you ever just modded a device, added everything you could possibly want onto it, and then realised slowly over time you've added too much stuff, you've completely eliminated choice. So,
That was so
eventually,
fun.
I
Thank you,
just deleted
everyone.
everything and only started purchasing the games that I actually wanted. It's nice to have a slight collection, especially if you know exactly what you want. as I am, a lot of stuff I enjoy tends to be from other regions of the world. So a lot of that stuff becomes increasingly hard to get over here, especially with import fees. A personal favourite manga/anime of mine is Kinnikuman, or Muscle Man, or how we tend to call it Ultimate Muscle. The Ultimate Muscle itself, recently, well, I say recently, it was much earlier this year, got a Blu-ray release exclusive to America and Canada. This, of course, bugged me because I don't have a universal Blu-ray player, and to be fair, that kind of just upsets me because being able to watch these shows becomes increasingly difficult with time, especially the original Kinnikuman show. That is impossible to watch anywhere else in the world, besides a few select countries.
You really want to try?
Because some of them
Be my
got
guest.
adaptations, but a lot of them did not go very far. As a lot of my personal favourite shows are from Japan, which can probably come as no surprise there. I tend to enjoy Super Sentai, or as many people would prefer to say, Japanese Power Rangers, despite it being the original series. I normally tend to have arguments with my friends every so often, mostly just little jokes here and there, about how annoying it is to basically watch an adaptation of a show you thoroughly enjoy and watch them absolutely ruin it. I'm looking at you, Power Rangers Super Mega Force. And even then, I find it really hard to sit through. Not because of, the Monster of the Week stuff. I quite enjoy that. I tend to have commitment issues always. I mostly mean that by a lot of shows that I used to watch, I tend to just get rid of or sell, because as much as I still enjoy them, I just can't find the time. And as much as that sounds a bit odd, it's really annoying, because I do have it. But I also have the head thing, where you basically spend all day screaming at yourself to get you to do basically anything, in hopes that you actually will do something all day instead of just wasting time. Sadly, not everyone gets the opportunity to actually do things they actually want to do. Since, especially with very annoying things like set brain thing, I become very reluctant to try new things as well. I tend to get stressed out myself, and I wish I could say it's better, but it really doesn't. This whole channel, to me at least, is more a look into what would happen if I actively make the attempt. To try presenting myself to others to see if I do have any redeemable qualities. You always got to have some kind of self-confidence, even if it may seem really difficult. Sometimes I have a tendency to just go quiet for a while, especially when talking or recording, and this becomes a massive detriment, especially to those who wish to continue listening. It may be annoying for some, you're just basically gone. I don't know why I do this. I would like to say it's because I'm trying to catch my breath. Or maybe I'm just trying to hyperfixate or focus on something. It all eludes me. But I hope you will get the chance to understand that person. At least somewhat relate on my level. If not relate on your own level as well. Sometimes people just want to be happy. Not everyone gets the chance to be happy. and I find that really annoying. I have gone my entire life mostly just wishing to be normal. But as of these past few years, I realised I wasn't getting any better. I was trying to figure out what was wrong. And it got to the point where I realised I do have issues. I do struggle and suffer a lot with ADHD problems. But then I realised to myself, you could just accept yourself, which is not particularly an easy thing to do with someone who's a really big self-loather. And it's honestly, I would like to say it's a bit better as a recent, honestly. That's why I've been trying to change. Because have you ever just been secluded all day, every day, just trying to make the attempt with things? Especially when you talk to the same people over and over, it can become very disorienting. You may become agitated. I tend to become extremely exhausted, which is why if there's suddenly a massive gap between uploads, it's not because anything has happened, it's most likely that either I forgot to, or I've just become really bad. And a lot of my burnout, I'm not sure why it happens. It's become a really big offense to me personally. But it's just how things are. I'm someone who tries my hardest to chill. I'm someone who tries to enjoy a lot of games, which a lot of people tend to love, but I can't see the appeal. I tend to enjoy very niche things. I tend to enjoy very bad games. And over time, I realised it's better to just be myself. Not everyone gets the opportunity. I myself, it's kind of hard to speak in words, you know? Sometimes you don't know what to say, which is kind of why a lot of people will make a script. I, on the other hand, I can't be asked. Okay, that's not entirely the case. My handwriting is terrible, and focusing on specifically what I'm supposed to be talking about in a specific section becomes really hard for me to do. Which is why I kind of just freelance everything. Which I guess works better for a streamer. But at the same time, streaming itself is a whole business. Not everyone can really branch off into that line. I'd like to say work. Not everyone can get into the system.
You can't handle this.
I don't expect many people to stick around here. But those who do, thank you for at least trying to put up with it. I will have varying varying content. Varying content does not sound right. Does not make sense.
Oh, it's on now.
Because I'm more someone who speaks when something is up. So realistically, some days content might just be gameplay and might not speak. On other days, it may just be me randomly speaking about something with the gameplay. And whether or not that's your enjoyment, I don't know. I don't really judge people. Well, I've been so fascinated with the
Just like that.
I've been fascinated to understand. A lot of people tend to get their early career songs I don't mean specifically for YouTube, I just mean things like people in general. Like, YouTube as a whole is a very complicated thing.
Just like that.
You remember, like, those people who were saying, like, their 9 to 5s are easier than, like, streaming and stuff like that? It's really stupid. I don't know, I like a good chuckle every so often. I'm not really up to date with a lot of, I'd like to say, memes, like joking culture. I do catch up on some of it, because, let's be real, I have a terrible sense of humour. But some people find it endearing. I find them weird. But to be
What's
honest,
the matter? Scared?
I try to make content I feel comfortable making. And it's why I will feel bad, especially because a lot of my content won't be as consistent as I would like to. I actually want to try and branch out and do a bunch of things, especially if I'm able to get a PC or anything like that to try and help with, you know, media. I want to actually make an attempt to do something. And whether or not I am capable of doing so, time will just have to tell. And I'm kind of just happy at least get the voice. Whether or not you find it annoying, whether or not you actually enjoy it, I appreciate you at least. I know that, you know, there are significantly better people to be watching. And it's not nice to think so. But, come on, you've been on this platform. Competition's a bitch. That's what I'd like to say, at least. Competition's fun. Why did the game kill me there? Excuse me? Why did it place me in the middle path? No, that's not fair. Oh man, I'm not happy with that as well. Oh, the game can honestly screw up there. But it's the words I'm looking for. Because sometimes I feel like I have something to say, but then I suddenly change my mind and it becomes really hard to remember. Everything becomes hard to remember. I don't know why. Why is things just so confusing? Ay. I don't know what I was going to finish saying. Realistically, it's slowly becoming time for the end of this video. And I wish I could keep it going for longer, because honestly I would. But I had confused myself too much. Way too much.
Oh, it's on now.
And I don't. I just realised I still lost this anyways. Wait, no, I tied! Let's go, I tied! Woo! Yeah! Wait, no, it's a triple tie! Oh no, it's still a double tie. I'm dead, so never mind. Oh man. Wait, I win?
This proves
That
nothing.
doesn't
Let's go
count as a
again.
tie? That's weird. I never would have expected that, specifically. Oh well. Everyone has purpose. And whether or not you achieve it is entirely up to you. I'm not much for self-help. I can barely help myself. I'm held together like duct tape. So, thank you all for stopping by. I appreciate you took time out of your day to maybe even just click on the video, even if it was by accident. I appreciate you being here. And I hope you have a lovely good after evening.